what to do when you have a weight loss plateau following a carnivore or even keto diet or even paleo diet. Whatever diet you're following right now, I'm gonna speak a little bit more on carnivore today because that's what I'm currently doing in my own life and it's what I found the best results with in weight loss. But these principles apply to whether you're eating a mixed diet and you have more plants, you have less, you're doing keto, real food, whatever. These are gonna be same principles that you're gonna wanna use if you're struggling with weight loss or if your results have plateaued in any way. So I'm gonna give you a few principles of how to bust through that plateau. Not gonna go super into depth into each one because each one of these is going to apply to you in whatever way you need it the most. So some of these you might have dialed in, some of them you might need to spend more time on, some of them you might not have thought about at all. So if you wanna go more into depth into each one of these specific recommendations, there's probably other videos on that, or you can check out some of my other videos on fat loss in general, get an understanding of how your body works, how hormones work. It's gonna give you a big leg up into combating your plateau and just to really accelerate fat loss, because fat loss is based on biology and it's based on certain macronutrients that you're eating. Most people try to today claim it's about calories and it's really not. Calories is a final consideration if you don't have some of the major principles dialed in and if you don't understand the fact that weight loss in your body is a hormonal process. It's a storing and a releasing of energy. It's a hormonal process. You do not have fat loss or weight loss without your body going through certain mechanisms, certain natural processes. And so when people talk about it's just about calories, they basically ignore basic biology, which is absurd in many levels. So let's get into the top ways to deal with a weight loss plateau. If you're following a keto diet or carnivore diet or real food or paleo, let's get to it. The first most important thing to get through any weight loss or fat loss plateau is to ask yourself the question, am I eating whole foods? Ideally raw, real ingredients in their whole form that you then take home, you take in your kitchen, you chop it down, you dice down, you cut it down, whatever, or you cook it whole, and then you let your body do a lot of the processing. You want to stay away from as much of the in a package, prepped or cooked by a food company or corporation as possible. When you do that, you lose nutrition, but you also make it so that it's more highly palatable, so you eat more, your body doesn't get the signal that you've eaten enough, and so you end up overeating. So one of the big things, super simple things to get full faster and to manage satiety is to make sure that you're eating whole, real foods as close to the raw state as possible when you get it. So like, for example, raw chicken or raw fish versus canned chicken or canned fish. Like a meat snack or beef jerky versus like a raw steak that you cook at home. Most people, if they just did that anyways, it would solve almost all of their diet problems, but especially for fat loss and controlling appetite and making sure that all your hormones for satiety and feeling full get triggered as fast as possible when you're eating is gonna prevent you from overeating and it's gonna help you stay on track. So get whole, raw, real ingredients, bring them home and get in the kitchen and get cooking and prepping. All right, so number 2 is gonna be IF fasting, intermittent fasting. Make sure you're utilizing meal timing. I got tons of videos on this. I'll actually put one up here. If you wanna get more in depth into the basics of fasting, it basically means compressing your meals into a smaller window so that you have a longer fasting period where your body can get into fat burning mode. If you're not utilizing some form of IF or meal timing, or even prolonged day fasting, but that's not really what we're talking about right here. You know, we're talking about mostly spacing your meals. We're not talking about calorie restriction. So if you're not utilizing some form of IF, I don't know how you got results before, but if you're plateaued right now, this is the golden key to the lock that is gonna unlock that next level. How people do it without this is beyond me, but some people do, mostly through blood, sweat, toil, and tears, and a lot of suffering, and trying to count their macros and calories. Some people are able to lose weight that way, but it's the hard way. It's the most unnatural way, and for most people, it's not sustainable because they don't ever keep it off. So make sure you're utilizing some form of IF, ideally skipping breakfast. That's the way I like to do it. Have your first meal 4 to 6 hours after you wake up, and then have your last meal probably like 4 to 7 hours after. Or you could do 3 meals within that window. Just depends on what's preferable. I find that I usually do 1 big meal and then 1 smaller meal, and I can't even imagine doing 2 meals. So it just has a great effect on managing your appetite, getting full faster, manage your hormones, of course, and letting your body get into that fat burning state after the feeding window, which is really the only way your body burns fat, is if you're not constantly fueling it. All right, number 3 is gonna eliminate all dairy and plants. Now, like I said, I'm focused on carnivore right now, so if you're following a carnivore diet and you're stalled out in your weight loss, you want to basically eliminate everything. Dairy specifically, because it is very calorie dense, it is very growth promoting. So, right, it's not something that you really want to be eating if you're trying to lose or cut back, and it's very easy to overeat. Plants, there's a million variables there. You could be having sensitivities to certain things you're eating. It could lead you to overeating, or could be attacking your gut and causing issues like leaky gut, which can lead to a whole other things like inflammation. You just don't know. So what I would recommend is eliminating these from, let's say, even 30 days. Track what's going on, maybe bust through that plateau. And if you're getting results, then you probably don't want to change it, right? But then if you do decide to add these back in, you can add them in strategically, and you can know exactly how your body's going to respond because you've removed them, and now you can get a clear experiment so that when you introduce them, you can see how it affects you. Stay hydrated. I'm not telling you got to drink a gallon of water a day. Most people shouldn't do that, actually. But if you are struggling with fat loss and weight loss, and maybe you're even overeating at times, drinking water is going to help you with that. It's going to help fill you up. It's going to help you not think you're hungry when really you're thirsty. It'll take care of that. And there's other things like digestion and just improving everything else in your body, whether that's helping detox and kind of process things out and whatever. Our environment is very toxic. I don't really like the word detox generally, but I'm saying it here in a very, very broad, vague, not specific sense. Like, drinking more water helps us process things that are in our system, and it kind of helps our body flush things through. It's not as simple as drinking water is detoxing you, but it can assist. We are definitely needing to drink more water in our modern world than we would have to be if we all lived in nature. But we don't all live in nature, we all live in a modern world. So drinking more water, I believe, is definitely a way to help us stay at the top of our game and help our body flush out some of these toxins and some of these stressors. So drink more water, it'll contribute in many ways to helping you through those weight loss plateaus. Number 5 is eat less fat. But hold on, because bear with me a second. I know this is blasphemy to some of you. I'm not suggesting you eat low fat either, by any means. I'm just saying that if you're trying to curb and cut back a little bit, maybe curb your calorie intake just a bit, you want to watch your fat intake. Now, when I say eat less fat, I don't mean just eat less calories. I actually want you to replace that fat that you would have eaten with more protein. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient you can eat. It fills you up. Takes a while to chew, which gets those beneficial digestive enzymes. It goes down slowly and thus signals your stomach to release those hormones that tell your brain that you're full. So it just does all of these things across the board. If you're trying to lose body fat, obviously with preserving muscle, eating more protein is key. Generally, most people don't eat enough protein as it is, so almost everybody should be eating more protein anyways. So this is really kind of like replace fat, some fat, with protein. It's not cut down your fat intake, but for various reasons, we want to eat more protein because it's very thermogenic, which means your body has to spend calories to burn it. So if you're consuming like 100 calories of protein, well, your body's got to probably spend between 20 and 30 calories just to process the dang stuff. So it helps you in that regard. It's kind of a weird mechanism where it forces your body to act like a furnace and burn off some of those calories because of the metabolic machinery that has to be fueled to process that protein. I like eating a bit higher protein than what you might see most people talk about on like a keto diet. Of course, carnivore is can be moderate to higher in protein, but I don't think that we should be making the bulk of our diet fat and then having lower protein, which is what you might see on a keto diet. I very much like a kind of a moderate, medium to even higher level of protein for most people, especially if they're trying to curb their appetite and they're trying to kind of move away from the way that they used to eat. Protein is just so filling. It's just what it comes down to. So find opportunities to maybe trim your steak or just, have a little bit less avocado, for example. If you're gonna have a whole avocado, have less avocado. And again, this is just if your fat loss plateaued. Like if you're functional and optimal and you're training and you feel good and everything and you're feeling good eating more fat, then just do it. That's fine. But for those of you that want to bust through a fat loss plateau, get to that next level, this is a really good way to do it. Cut your fat back a little bit, add some more protein in, and it's just going to have a myriad of benefits. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you found this useful. I know it's short and sweet. Like I said, I don't want to go into a lot of rabbit holes on all these. I want it to be very actionable stuff. Some of these stuff you might have dialed in. Some of these you need to really focus on. For water, maybe set a timer on your phone to drink a glass multiple times a day. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Maybe have a glass before each meal. Find out what works for you, but these are some of the general things that you should be focusing on if you're struggling with a fat loss plateau today. So I'm Colin, the Wild CEO. You can check out lots more of my videos on ancestral health and fat loss and nutrition and really living optimally in accordance with our genes while respecting the first principles of biology and nature instead of ignoring them like the powers that be would have you believe. America is fat and sick. we need to do something about it. It's not about eating a very carb-heavy, grain-heavy diet. It's going to be about low-carb, high-fat, high to moderate protein. It's going to be animal-based nutrition. So let's source ethically. Let's teach people how to eat properly. Let's teach them how to get back in touch with their genes. And then we can hopefully reverse these really, really dangerous trends that are making it so that my son is going to grow up into a world where people are fat, sick, obese, and dependent on private corporations. That's not okay in my book. So let's do something about it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and share. Drop a comment below if there's anything I missed or if there's any questions specifically that you might have on fat loss and maybe something you can do. I didn't really cover everything in today's video. It's just a few short tips, but we will cover more videos. So if you have any suggestions or comments, you can drop them below and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching. Hey, Colin here. Thanks for watching that video. I got a free PDF for you, The 7 Principles of Living Wild. Short and sweet, not long, not gonna be a novel you have to read or anything, just a simple reference of the things that make you a healthy human. So click on the button below, get that right now, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.